On today's Bass Pro Shops Fisherman's Handbook, we're gonna have a lot of fun. We've got a lot of talented professional touring pros that are gonna share a lot of tips, techniques, and insight even on how they set up certain things in their boat to help them be more successful. This type of show is always one of my favorite because it brings in insight from guys that travel the nation, and if they don't catch them, they don't eat, they don't pay their bills. So these guys are spending time on the water, learning and evolving and testing techniques and trying to find ways to catch fish all the time. We're gonna kick it off with Drew Cook, who's gonna share 4 fishing line tips that he has on flipping grass. I love to flip grass. Basically, I love to fish anything shallow like that where you get a reaction bite, gets you and the fish in hand-to-hand combat. And Drew's now gonna share some insight on how he's more successful in using certain fishing lines for this application. There we go.
All right, so whenever it comes to flipping grass, there's a couple different lines that I use. Probably the most used line that I have is gonna be 60-pound FX2 Sunline braid. This is gonna be what I use whenever I'm flipping straight braid, punching, flipping, sparse grass with a jig, big like 1 ounce jig, half-ounce jig, somewhere in there. Whenever I'm fishing hydrilla, flipping hydrilla, I use 80-pound FX. It's bigger and it's a little bit quieter because it's bigger going when you're lifting it up and down in the grass. And you can get away with it, so why not use 80-pound, honestly. That's what I use most of the time, flipping hydrilla, but I will also use 25-pound Power 2C. This is a really good strong line. This is what I'll flip, if I'm flipping straight fluorocarbon, if I'm, punching hydrilla, and say it's like a Gunnersville or something like that. There's a lot of pressure. That's where I'm going to use this. And then I will also use 50 or 60-pound FX2 and then tie an FG knot to 25-pound shooter or 30-pound shooter. It all depends. But that is also another way that you can, still have that fluorocarbon clarity, but have the, the backbone and the hook setting power and the cutting through the grass of the braid. Those are the lines that I use whenever it comes to flipping grass.
Spinning reels are one of those techniques that are so key to so many of us. I love to fish with a spinning reel. But it's always been a challenge to put line on a spinning reel. It's very easy to have it blow up and you've got a mess. But thanks to the advancements of modern fishing lines, there's been a lot of ways that people can now use spinning reels and enjoy time on the water. And we're gonna learn more about how Jason Christie, one of the best touring pros in the world, sets up his spinning reels.
Hey guys, Jason Christie here, Elite Series Pro. Today I'm gonna show you how I spool up a spinning reel, spinning rod. First of all, we're going to start by stripping the old line off. Similar to a bait caster, you're never going to use the bottom of the spool. So we want to get down to, 50% of the spool left. It takes a while with braid, the smaller braid, because it is so small. That'll work. All right, so we have here some 10-pound Sunline Overwatch. So what we're gonna do, the key to this is you wanna create a knot that doesn't bulk up the spool. So we want our knot to be as small as we can get by with. So I'm gonna go around once, twice, back around, and then back through my hole. Just like that. You're not fighting a fish or anything like that on this knot, so it doesn't have to be like super stout. We just want a small knot so it doesn't hang whenever we're spooling. Like I said before, there's different ways you can do this. You can put it in the water, you can put it in the floor, whatever. This is what I just lay it in the floor and just take off reeling. I like to keep some tension here so it goes on tight. You know, there's somebody, you're watching this video right now saying, well, you're gonna do it that way and you're gonna have twist. We're gonna get the twist out of it at the end. See, right now I can lower it down. There's a little twist, but not much. Yeah, I like my spinning reels to be pretty full. So, you see we have a little bit of twist here. Now this is, no matter how I do it, it seems like I always end up with a little twist, but here's the key. So what we're gonna do now is, I'm gonna get behind on the steering wheel there, and we're gonna literally let out how much we're gonna use, 75 yards or something like that. And as you're idling, what it does is it lets the braid lay on top of the water, and then I'm just gonna reel it in, you know, as I'm idling. And that, when it comes in, it's gonna be straight as a string. You know, now all I gotta do is tie my leader on. That's how I spool up a spinning rod.
To see more great content and take your fishing skills to the next level, subscribe to the Fisherman's Handbook YouTube channel. Here you'll find how-to videos, product features, and in-depth breakdowns that'll help you catch more fish. Just scan the QR code on the screen now and subscribe.
You know, today's electronics have come a long way. People are using them more and more. They have more and more units on there, and they're demanding and requiring better mounts to be able to take care of their units in rough conditions and basically all weather, traveling up and down the road. And that's where BeatDown Outdoors has basically revolutionized a lot of different applications for people to be able to put units on their mount, secure them, get them at different heights, use them for everything in crappie fishing to bass fishing. So we're gonna learn more on how the pros are setting up their boats to get the most out of their sonar units, thanks to their mounts.
Hey guys, Bradley Hallman here. BeatDown, new mounts this year for me. This is the console mount. I want to talk about all the things that make this my life easier because of console mount with BeatDown. I am a guy that generally just runs 2 graphs on the front deck. A lot of guys these days are running 3. There's only certain occasions that I want 3 up front. The BeatDown mount allows me to do that because it's so easy and simple to make a couple adjustments. A lot of times I'm wanting to run live scope side imaging up front, but I still need my GPS mounts up front while I'm up there fishing. This is the one mount and the whole thing that I can take and spin just like that, no wires, no nothing. I can glance back and see if I'm on my waypoint, not on my waypoint, how far away I am. And then whenever I come back and sit down at the console to fish, all I have to do is turn it. If I'm in big water, rough water, I just give it a little turn of the knob. It's, you know, not gonna fly out, go anywhere. You can crank it down, it won't go anywhere at all. It gets extremely tight. I'm allowed to space them. So what I've done here is I space mine further apart, gives me a little better view through, over the top, and then around the sides. Anytime that I travel, instead of taking my graphs all the way off like a lot of you guys do, I just loosen mine down and then my boat cover is able to lay right over the top of it whenever I tarp my boat. Dependability and sturdiness of the BeatDown console mount is rock solid. Like, it does not move. Whether I'm down in Florida in Okeechobee or in New York on Champlain, it's just a great setup. BeatDown has got a great product, built in the USA, and the console mount has just got so much flexibility, allows me to do so many different things, from how I tow my boat to being able to keep 2 graphs on the front, not have to run 3, to be able to switch that graph around and see it from the front makes life so much easier.
BeatDown Outdoors makes a variety of mounts for your electronics, whether that be at the console or the front of the boat. We learn more now about a BeatDown Outdoors mount that'll let you have 2 graphs at the front.
This is the BeatDown Outdoors Ultimate Shorty Double Stack, available in both a single and a double stack. This American-made mount is by far the most versatile graph mount on the market. One of the things that I really like about this mount is that it reduces glare and it allows you to get the graphs up off of the deck during this era of forward-facing sonar so you can see and interpret things better. There is an additional extension to this to where the graph can actually come over 30 inches off of the surface of the deck, but in most tournament scenarios, I'm not adding the extension and I'm simply raising it 6 inches and then another 4 inches when I get to my fishing spot. There's a couple things that this allows me to do. It reduces the glare from the screens. It allows me to save my neck and my body while I'm looking at the screens and interpreting my forward-facing sonar. And if I have a partner on the deck, I can also swivel it so that they can see what we're looking at. When it's time to run, you simply lower it back, and now you're reducing the stress on the fiberglass that it's mounted on the front deck, and you can run in rough water. The Ultimate Shorty single and double stack by BeatDown Outdoors, by far the most versatile graph mount on the market today.
You know, a fish hook is really what's your contact point to success or failure at the end of the day. Yep, you got fishing line, you got a rod, you got that bait, but the hook is what keeps that fish pinned up. We're gonna hear from some of the best fishing pros in the nation now why they choose Gamakatsu to ensure those fish don't get away.
Hi guys, Jeff Gustafson here, Bassmaster Elite Series Pro, and you know, I make my living catching fish, not only as a tournament angler, but as a guide as well. I've guided since I was a teenager, still do quite a bit today, and so catching fish is important, and Gamakatsu hooks for me, I've used them since I was a little kid, changing out treble hooks on my hard baits, using Gamakatsu hooks in my jig heads. I used to get hundreds of the 604 90-degree jig hooks and pour my own jigs for tubes and ball heads, everything, Ned rigs now. You know, they kind of help take the luck out of fishing a little bit just because they're a high quality hook. So not only are they, you know, obviously have a really good reputation for being very strong and very sharp. So I rely on Gamakatsu hooks for all of my fishing activities, and you know, they definitely, you're gonna land more fish on them and not lose as many. And not only that, if you go to gamakatsu.com, I mean, there are hundreds of different size hooks, different shapes, any hook you could imagine needing for any technique, any species of fish, we got you covered. Beyond the hooks that Gamakatsu is known for, we got a number of tools, pliers, scissors, split ring pliers, and these pliers come, you know, in a variety of sizes, and they're high quality, much like the hooks. New for 2023, this is exciting for me. I live in walleye country, so I catch a lot of walleyes, get to eat a lot of walleyes, and these fillet knives are, I've used a lot of different fillet knives over the years. These are some of my favorites. Much like the hooks, very sharp and high quality. The blade has a nice level amount of flex in it, so you know, if you're carving along some of the bones, you can feel them. And check these knives out. I mean, they're just, like I say, a real pleasure to use. So that's it. Gamakatsu, I use their products every day in the boat, and you know, big part of my success.
The importance of your fishing hooks can't be stressed enough. Nowhere is that more paramount than when targeting big fish. A top touring pro joins us now to share his favorite Gamakatsu hooks he uses when chasing big bites.
Hey everybody, Lee Livesey here. We're talking big bass and what hooks to use for them. I'm just gonna tell you 4 must-have hooks when you're around bigger fish. And for me, whether it's in the state of Texas or all the way to New York, one of my favorites, tried and trues, is the Gamakatsu Superline offset, just old school, round bend worm hook. And I use this thing for, you know, fluke style baits, Cinco style baits, Carolina rigging, flipping, anything like that. But when you're around bigger fish, you need that super line size instead of just a regular old round bend worm hook. This is an upgraded wire to the Sunline wire. I love that hook. I use it for all kinds of applications all over the world when I'm around bigger fish. Second is the Gamakatsu Power Flip and Punch hook. So if I'm punching, you know, heavy mats of hyacinths in Florida or thick vegetation in Texas, or maybe I'm just somewhere where there's a great big one on a bed and I'm kind of scared that thing's gonna straighten my hook out or dominate me, man. I want a big hook. And that Flip and Punch heavy cover straight shank from Gamakatsu is my go-to. It is tough as nails, super thick, but still has a super sharp tip to keep those fish hooked up. I love it for punching heavy vegetation. So then you say, you know, okay, those are regular hooks. What about your trebles? So my next go-to for being around bigger fish, treble hook wise, is a G-Finesse short shank, but with the medium heavy wire grade. I use this on like jerk baits, crank baits, vibrating baits. When I'm around bigger than average fish, I don't want that hook to flex. I like that medium heavy wire gauge. They're the same G-Finesse technology, super sharp. I love it when I'm cranking for smallmouth up north, but when I'm catching those 5 and 6 pound smallmouth that are really mean, they don't let your hook flex. So that's a must-have treble hook when you're around those bigger than average bass. Last but not least, probably my favorite treble hook to put on all kinds of my moving baits when I'm around great big bass from Lake Fork and anywhere else is the Gamakatsu EWG short shank in 2 times strong material with the magic eye. You know, that's the hook y'all saw me catch all those big ones at Lake Fork when I won the Elite there on the topwater in 2021. I love the short shank size, but it has that 2 times strong material to let me hook those great big bass, you know, everywhere I go. And it's just a hook that I put on big topwaters, big square bills, stuff like that, you know, match the size of the hook to your bait, and it's gonna help you put some big bass in the boat for you. You know, those are four choices for me in Gamakatsu when I'm around great big bass. Hopefully that helps y'all out. Thanks for checking in.
Ah, look at that tank. That's a good one right there. You know, that style of bait right there, and it's a collaboration between Bass Pro Shops and Z-Man. It's called the Chatterbomb, and that color in the this old cold winter time, it is a dynamite technique and way to catch them. You know, baits like the old Bass Pro Shops XPS Chatterbomb right here, this is a collaboration between Z-Man and Bass Pro Shops. I mean, these are just deadly baits for a lot of different presentations, whether you're fishing cold water, warm water, whether you're fishing shad spawn or you're, you know, pre-spawn bass fishing out over the grass. The vibration, the movement of the bait comes through the water, the different colors and the way they trigger strikes is something that has become a staple for fishermen really year round, but especially in that late winter, early spring, into the spawn, and just after when the shad are spawning. When those fish are starting to set up, you know, on the backsides of points, on flats, and in and around grass a lot of times, I absolutely love to get out and throw these. I mean, I always have one tied on during those times of the year. One of the things I've noticed and learned over the years when it comes to these style of baits is the unique sound that each one of them makes. When you have that vibrating blade clanking up top to the head and the different head designs and the different shapes and sizes, specifically this Chatterbomb that Z-Man and Bass Pro designed together and worked on, there's a unique sound in there. Fishing these styles of baits, I really like to fish these a lot of times on fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon gives you a little better sensitivity. The line tends to sink a little better, allows you to keep a little better contact with it. A lot of times your bite, it's just all of a sudden you don't feel that blade moving, the bait moving anymore. The fish is taking it from behind and kind of coming towards you. And so when you're in that type of situation, a lot of times you're trying to catch up to set the hook. At the same time, rod selection, I think, can be very crucial in this type of fishing. The thing about this bait when you're fishing it is feeling that vibration. You can see the vibration that's thumping at the end of this rod. When it's cold like this, or I'm fishing in and around hydrilla, I like to use this Bass Pro Shops cranking stick. It's basically a very inexpensive rod, but it's got great action in it. It allows those fish to load up on the bait. I can feel it. Like I said, if you watch the tip of this rod as this bait is coming in. You can see the vibration. God, look how far down he's got that Chatterbomb. That bait is down in there. Come here, buddy.
Thank you for watching this episode of the Bass Pro Shops Fisherman's Handbook. This has been a Caraco TV production.